Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Becoming Anchored podcast. My name is Laura Deneen. I am one of your hosts today. I'm joined by the lovely Lauren Jackson. I'm super grateful to have her with me for today's episode. If you're new to the Becoming Anchored podcast, we really are all about instilling hope in our clients, and we really believe that hope is fundamental to the human experience. And then we also, in our new direction, have really shifted towards the topic of body image. And so we really are here to share our thoughts on supporting you in moving towards more peace and tenderness and care for your body. And so if you are new to Tennessee, we would love to see you. And if not, we encourage you to reach out to a therapist that is local to you. So welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. We were chatting about just a topic that we wanted to cover today, and we thought about this idea that if somebody says something to you about your body, how do you even respond?
Mm-hmm. Whether it is intended to maybe be a positive or good thing, whatever, right? Culturally speaking, yeah. Or if it maybe feels blatantly mean or negative. It's all of the above can be hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just because of the nature of our specialty here at Anchored, we do hear about these experiences quite frequently. We've also been on the receiving end of these experiences. We've heard others make comments about, people in our periphery. There's so many different experiences that we can have around either being told something about our bodies or overhearing something about a friend's body, and that can be really hard. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere, right? This assumption that it is okay to make a comment about someone else's body, and then if you have been on the receiving end of that, that can feel so painful and so hurtful. And if you are doing the work to improve your relationship with your body, it's okay, this happened. What do I do next?
Yeah.
Because if you're shifting your relationship with your body, maybe historically you really believed what was said to you about your body, or you wanted to respond with behaviors that maybe weren't supportive to your body. And now if you are someone that is starting to dip your toe in the water of doing this work of moving towards body peace, it's okay, well, how do I respond to that?
Right. Maybe how do I respond externally to the other person if that feels healthy, appropriate, safe? And then how do I also respond to self in whatever I'm feeling and whatever is coming up for me? So it can be kind of twofold a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking at both, I think, is really crucial and important. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we have a client that comes in and they share about an experience that they've had with someone commenting on their body, I'm just curious, what do you do first?
Yeah, so, the first thing that I'm going to do is attune to maybe what I notice the client is feeling when they're sharing the story, and then invalidate that. Oh, that sounds like it was really painful, or that I sense some frustration. I can imagine that was a frustrating, or whatever, right? And then be curious with them around how maybe they're feeling even just retelling the story, what's coming up for them in that moment of just even retelling the story, the experience. And then just depending on, where they're at in their body image recovery journey, or where they're at on the spectrum, the body image spectrum, we talked about in a previous episode, getting curious with them around maybe what some of their automatic beliefs and thoughts are that are showing up because of whatever somebody else said, or maybe whatever they have overheard. Sometimes, like you said earlier, it can be just as distressing to us if we hear other people commenting about other people's bodies, right? Yeah. That actually came up in a session maybe last week with a client. Her dad wasn't even talking about her body. He was making comments about somebody else's body, and the level of distress that it caused her, we spent a lot of time processing through that, which is really important to do as well.
Yeah, because I think as human beings, right, it's so natural to be like, oh, well, what does this say about me?
Yes.
How am I connected to overhearing this experience? Like, that's a really normal process if that's been the case for you. And so, yeah, I love what you shared about, like, validating the client's experience. Yeah, I will, like, notice this, like, fire in my soul. And so I mean, just that, like, protectiveness over the client. And, of course, like, good therapy is, like, we want the client to learn to protect themselves. And there's a natural care and love that happens within the therapeutic relationship. And so if someone that I care about is telling me that this other person has, like, hurt them, that's hard, right? And so we'll kind of sit in that place together. But yeah, I do notice, like, a fire in my soul whenever I hear, like, this kind of comments. And that gives me information of, like, okay, I'm experiencing some anger right now that my client has had to go through this hurtful experience. And how do we validate that emotional experience, and how do we learn from it? What is there to grow in? Do we need to set boundaries? Do we need to spend less time with that person moving forward?
Totally.
All of those things are just questions that we're exploring together. Yeah. And so, I mean, if we come back to self, right, I think a lot of times it can be quite normal to self-abandon. Heidi and I talked about that in our last episode, but really start to, like, get to a place where it's like, oh yeah, they must be right. Like, maybe I do need to change something about my body. Or it can be a common response from our clients to, like, doubt their self-worth, or go to a place of, like, self-criticism, like almost internalizing the judgment that was, like, said to them. So
right, especially if that is already part of your kind of pattern in responding, in those moments to yourself. If you've for so long your internal response has been, oh, they must be right, or something must be wrong with me, that can be really hard to pivot. It can be really hard in those moments to try and do it a different way, like we talked about earlier. And so, the work in therapy is starting to acknowledge those patterns and starting to gently open up opportunities or perspective of, like, what else is available to me. Is it possible in that moment, after I maybe am on the receiving end, or perhaps I overhear a comment, can I just acknowledge the emotion that is leading to for me? Can I practice validation or even self-compassion, right? That this is an experience that is incredibly difficult. Can I maybe acknowledge that this is also a boundary violation? Yes.
I love to think about boundaries, like, through, like, a hula hoop. Like, when I was growing up, I loved, like, my little, like, pink vibrant hula hoop. And I think it does, in conversations like this, we never want to dismiss or invalidate the emotion, but it does bring a certain, like, level of humor or levity to the conversation, I think. And so, I mean, when someone crosses that hula hoop line into our space, like, that can feel really, really, really horrible. Understandably so, right? And so I think that's also an option, is, like, am I really validating for myself that this is a boundary crossing of mine?
Right.
We have all sorts of boundaries, right? Like physical boundaries, emotional boundaries.
And that can invite in self-compassion, where
Right.
we can start recognizing, oh, this is a boundary crossing, or this person overstepped in some ways. It can start inviting in some compassion for self.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what do I do in response, right? So I think a lot of times it's really normal to feel almost frozen in those experiences. And if that's been the case for you, of, like, almost like a loss for words, like you're almost immobilized, that can be protective in a way, right? Like your body's trying to protect you in that moment. And then I have clients that will come to therapy and process that with me and really figure out if they want to say something to that person, like really evaluating first and foremost, like Lauren said, the safety of that relationship.
Right. And what's the risk? What's the cost? What would be the benefit? What's the value in saying something? I mean, all of these things go into account, even depending on who the other person is. Is this the first time I've ever met this person?
Right.
Or do I have a long, deep relationship with them? Right. Those all of those things matter, and maybe how we decide we want to go about addressing it, either externally and internally.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the risk, right? Because there is some form of emotional labor that's happening if that person decides to address something, right? And just like the toll that might take. Has the other person who said something hurtful to you, have you given them feedback before, and how has it gone? You know, that's something that clients of mine and I will explore together. But yeah, I mean, if we zoom out, right, like comments about other people's bodies or even our own bodies, like they've become so normalized, and it's like, it just begs the question of like, when did this like become okay? Is this something that we've been doing for years, hundreds of years? And it's interesting because I think we're at the point now culturally where more and more people are getting on board with like, hey, it's not okay to comment on, you know, other people's bodies.
And it's just making me think, because I know we're both parents, and especially like some shifts in like the, you know, parenting of like being cognizant of not giving so much validation or praise to like the appearance of our children,
right?
And so you know, giving more attention to who they are, their character, their qualities, just them being a person, period, is valuable, right? So it just makes me think even too of like maybe how culturally things hopefully are shifting too with how we speak to our kids, our little ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
About their bodies.
Yeah, and I've, you know, just because of the nature of the work that we do, I'm certainly not perfect at it, but I love to like highlight that for my own daughter, like when she like shares her cupcake with me. We have cupcakes at our house right now. She like wanted me to have a bite of her like pink cupcake, and I'm like, great, thank you. Or when she like engages in an act of kindness, right? Like we were going outside with her splash pad yesterday evening, and she brought me my flip-flops. It's like, oh my gosh, that is so kind, Marianne. And I love that you highlighted that, because I think the messaging that they internalize over the years of these like small repeated experiences is like, oh my gosh, I am so much more than my body. Or my parents don't love me because of the way that I look, right? They love me because of who I am. And there's something so beautiful about, like, I think shifting these generational patterns. Yeah. So hopeful.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because if we circle back around to the person that maybe says something hurtful to another individual, it also gives us a lot of information about them.
Yeah.
Right? I'm curious, like, what maybe psychoeducation would you give to a client around that person?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would start by exploring with the client, especially if the go-to tendency is something's wrong with me, right?
Right.
To, yes, maybe what does that possibly potentially say about the other person that they said that thing, or they felt like they could talk to you in that way, or whatever. Yeah, and you know, I think helping our clients shift all of their attention from what's wrong with me, or there's something wrong with me, to what else could be, what else is at play here. Yeah. Like what other things are going on in this that maybe to some extent are out of my control. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like having that flexibility, I think can be really beautiful. And yeah, I mean, I think how people show up in relationships does give us a lot of information about them, right? So what it would tell me is that person maybe struggles with their own boundaries, right? That they think that it's okay to comment in that way. Perhaps that person might also have their own body image, like stuff in air quotations. Like very rarely do people that have done deep body image work, right, comment on other people's bodies. Totally. And so the people that do comment on other people's bodies, it tells me that there is a naivety there, or maybe, I don't know, a lack of understanding. Maybe they've got their own body image shame, or maybe just like insecurity at large. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like classic bullying, right? Like I make fun of someone else to make myself feel better.
Right.
And maybe it works in the short run, but long term, like it actually makes the person's self-worth like go down.
Totally.
It doesn't actually like help them.
Yeah.
So I think those are all just like important reminders if you have been on the receiving end of like a cruel body image comment.
Yeah. It does bring up for me what is their own body image stuff that they're dealing with.
And how is saying this thing that is hurtful, cruel, critical about someone else's body, how is that in that moment helping me feel better? And it can also give us information about someone's value system, right? Of like, okay, they do clearly place a lot of importance on appearance, and is this someone in the long run who is safe for me to like spend time with? If maybe this is like a newer friend, do I want to continue investing in that relationship? Do I need to maybe take some space? All of those are like really great questions. And the reality is we have to like slow down to be able to even like ask ourselves those questions. So yeah, any like closing thoughts on anything else you would do with a client that maybe is sharing this experience with you?
I probably and maybe this is my own kind of therapeutic style or whatever, I would probably also share in my client's experience by maybe offering some times that I have been on the receiving end of something. And, I often tell my clients, just because I'm an eating disorder therapist and a body image therapist and doesn't mean I'm not immune to the culture that we live in. And so I think it can be really validating for our clients, for my clients, in addition to just like verbal validation of, oh, that must have been really hard. I can imagine that was really painful. Saying, hey, me too. Right? Like I felt this too. This one time that this person said this thing, and it just, it felt really insensitive, and I felt frozen in that moment. And being pregnant right now, I can think of like 5 different examples off the top of my head that have happened, whether it was in this pregnancy or my previous pregnancy. For some reason, people think, I don't know why it is, that with pregnant women, there's just more, it's more acceptable to comment on their bodies. I don't know.
And
whatever.
The bump, specifically.
I know.
It's like,
it's not,
stop.
It's right. It's too big. It's too small. It's what, I don't know, whatever. And so, and then I think also too, sharing with my clients, these are the things I was feeling. These are the automatic thoughts I was having, and this is what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And how can I, in that moment, have compassion for myself that this experience happened? How can I get support? And I think I was with you when something happened. Yeah. I remember one of those experiences. How can I like share with my safe people? And then how can I like move towards health? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. There's no right way to respond, right? When someone says something cruel to you, or when you overhear something cruel, it's all about like learning from our experiences, having compassion for them, shifting, getting the support we need. All of those like small puzzle pieces, I think, do add up over time.
Yeah.
Because it's just not okay, right? And we're the first to say that, like, and we're sorry if you have been through painful experiences around your body, and really our hearts go out to you in that. And we hope this episode has been validation in some ways for you today. So, Lauren, would you like to close with homework or an affirmation?
Yeah, I will maybe just give a little homework. So, I would maybe encourage you to think about perhaps a time where you have maybe been on the receiving end of of a body image comment, whether it was meant to be negative or positive or whatever, and that felt hard for you or distressing for you, uncomfortable for you, and maybe just pay attention to or notice what were the things that maybe I was feeling in that moment. What was my like initial response? Was it a freeze? Was it a fight back? Was it a I want to hide? What was coming up for you in terms of how you wanted to kind of react or respond? And then what were some of those automatic thoughts that maybe tend to be a pattern for you, and what might you want to say to yourself differently next time?
Yeah. Yeah, and we've talked a lot about compassion, self-compassion on today's episode. So I think that is really just a beautiful affirmation of like, I offer myself compassion around these experiences. And even noticing what that feels like, right? If you have resistance towards that, if that feels silly to you or you want to dismiss that when I say it, I think that can give us information too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, you all, for being here on the Becoming Anchored show. And thank you, Lauren, for being here as well. It's always a delight to chat with you. And we will see you next time. Take good care.